Welcome everyone to Nerdalism. You might recognize my guest here, who has a very notable and recognizable voice. Please welcome Sam Kwasman.
Hello, the car. Hello, you love it. How about that?
Wow, that is so cool.
All right, very much.
Thank you for joining us. This is such an honor to have you on.
Oh,
Wow.
it's just nice to be on.
Donald Duck. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't get more famous than that at this point.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I did their records and toys in 1970s and the 1980s, but I started as a dancer in a show called Disney on Parade, just thinking I'd be a dancer, and I wound up as the voice of Donald Duck on the show, doing it live, 10 to 14 shows a week, and I did What's My Line, which was a quiz show back then, and radio shows promoting the show. And I perfected the voice.
Oh, boy.
So Donald, was great. I did these records and toys and stuff. I have a record here that I did back in 1987. It's a collector's item. I don't know if can you see it?
Oh, wow. Mini.
Yeah, totally mini. And the voice of Mickey Mouse at the time was Peter Renaday. I had him autograph this. I don't know if you can see that. There's Peter and me. And he did Mickey Mouse for years. And Tony Pope was the voice of Goofy back then. Mm-hmm. And of course, there are three new guys that do it now. Mm. And it was a lot of fun. With the three of us, would get together and we do these records and toys and commercials. And we did the talking Mickey Mouse animation doll. And it was just a lot of fun. And but starting as a dancer, I started with this guy named Patrick Swayze. You ever hear of him?
Yeah, this rings a bell. Yeah.
So we were both dancers in the Disney show. He was Prince Charming and I was the lead alligator in Fantasia. Go figure. I don't know how he got Prince Charming over me, but it is what it is. Also, he did a great Donald Duck, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah, he could do it in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a great guy. So I started dancing and I went on to do the movie Mame with Lucille Ball. And Lucy was great. She used to tell me stories. It was a lot of fun. Anything you want to ask me?
Actually, I'm curious about Lucille Ball because you worked with her. Do you have any favorite memories of her?
Yeah, she told me stories. She told me stories. Excuse me, I mentioned her. I like the Three Stooges. Being a stupid kid. And she goes, oh, the Three Stooges, they almost killed me. Bad props. So she actually did a Three Stooges episode. Mm-hmm. And what happened was she was supposed to powder her face in front of this fan. And it was very fine powder. So they turned the fan on and she goes, and it goes up in her mouth and in her nose. And she said she was in a hospital for 3 days. She thought she was going to die. And then she would blink like this and it was like sandpaper for weeks, she said. So how about that for a story?
That would be the worst.
She was very serious on the set, but she was so nice to me anyway, to everybody. She would give out chocolate bars to keep our strength up so that we could, dance in the show. And I would jump over the hedges. And I was 23, so I was kind of the workhorse. The other guys were like 30, 40 years of age. And let Sam do it. Let Sam do the jumping. So and it was really nice. It was really great. I'll tell you, it was so hot. We had these rubber boots on. And this is the main number, Mame, you coax the blues right out of the one. And so we're on AstroTurf and we're jumping hedges. Well, we couldn't stand on the AstroTurf for more than 10 minutes and our boots would melt. So we had to get off we could only film a few minutes at a time. How about that?
The ground was just really, really hot?
The AstroTurf got hot from the sun. So by the afternoon, if we were going to jump over the hedges, your boots would melt. So how about that?
That is
Yeah.
the things that you had to go through back
Yeah.
then. This was before safety, anything, unions, not a
Yeah.
whole lot of
What I learned was the crew eats first. Don't eat before the crew. The crew eats first on lunch when it comes to lunch.
a bunch of
But
barracudas. Yeah.
yeah, Lucy was great. I mean, I really enjoyed working with her. She was just very serious, but she knew everything. She knew if the light was off. She knew if she was too close to the camera, all that stuff, you know.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and I'll change. There we go. So do you have like a personal interaction with her that you found very funny, or was there something that was memorable for you when you guys were working together?
Well, she told me another story. Because, I'd go over and talk to her, say, how you doing? And her mother was on the set. And we shot it up in Santa Clarita at the Winter Ranch. And her mother was 90 at the time. So I went over and I talked to her, and she goes, oh, let me tell you a story. During World War II, I was driving to MGM and I had a cavity and they filled it with some stuff. I don't know what it was. And she could get radio waves in her tooth. So she could hear the radio in her tooth at a certain kilowatt or whatever, megahertz. So she's driving there and she hears, and I thought she said Nazis. Somebody said it was Japanese, but apparently it's a true story. If she hadn't told me to my face, I don't think I'd believe it. But as she drove there, she got these, she got German in her ear. And so she called the FBI or the cops, and they drove around. They got closer and closer, got louder and louder, and they got to an apartment building, and they went upstairs, and there was a nest of Nazi spies spying on MGM. So she found him.
No.
Yeah. If she hadn't told me to my face,
Yeah.
on the set, would you have believed that?
No, not at all. But she was a cool person. So
yeah. She had been through everything, and I only wish I'd stayed in touch with her. That's my fault. She was delightful, and she was very powerful. This was her retirement film, but everybody loves Lucy to this day. Everybody loves Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was wonderful to me. And I truly loved hanging out with the character actors. To me, that was very exciting. That was fun to hang out with. And, it was a great experience. You can see it on television.
Wow.
You can rent it.
Did you meet anyone else on set that was kind of just like wow to you?
That was like what? Oh,
that was just kind of cool.
Yeah. Robert Preston. The Music Man.
Mm-hmm.
You had to call him Bob Preston.
Bob.
So I go over to Bob and I go, Bob, I thought you were wonderful in The Music Man. And he always has this little cigarette, and he says, listen, kid, I've done more than that. And I'm like, oh, God, I must have said something wrong, Then I asked him to take a photo. He goes, sure. So we took a photo. So I have photos with me and Lucy and Bob Preston and all that. And that's how I started. Started as a dancer and the voice of Donald Duck right out. I was 19 when I started with the Disney show. And 23, I did Mame with Lucille Ball.
So how did you go from dancing and working with Lucille Ball? How did that changeover happen?
Well, I always wanted to be an actor. Mm-hmm. And when I was 8 years old, I was told as an actor, you have to learn to do everything. Actors have to learn to do it. So I took singing lessons, acting lessons, dancing lessons, ventriloquism, cartoon voices. I was just going to do everything because when you're 8 years old, that's what you think, Yeah. So that's what I did. And it paid off because I started using all those things that I trained for as, the years went on. Like the Bob Newhart Show came up. And they wanted a guy who was a ventriloquist and believed the dummy was real and wanted to go out on his own. And I happened to be at the Comedy Store because, you got to do everything. Mm-hmm. You got to be an actor. You got to learn everything. So I went to 1975. I went to the Comedy Store and I became a regular at the Comedy Store.
Mhm.
And I did my cartoon voices and talked about going to high school. And I was about, 75, I was about 24 years old. And I did a little dummy act because I had a little dummy when I was a kid. And I brought him on stage and I blindfolded him, make him guess what people are holding up in the audience, and he'd get it wrong. And I'd have him sing supercalifragilisticexpialidocious without moving my lips, like in one breath, all kinds of crazy stuff. So back then there was no internet, there's no cell phones, and they would put an ad in Variety. They're looking for a ventriloquist, and they kind of described what they wanted. A guy whose dummy wants to leave his act. And I thought, oh my God, somebody saw my act. Somebody, stealing my material. Because back then in the Comedy Store, people would come in who were sitcom writers, see your jokes, hear your jokes, write them down, and the next week they'd be on a sitcom. So they had to pass rules to keep these people from writing or taping us. They had these little tape recorders, something we don't do anymore. So so I called them up and I said, sounds like you're doing my act. And they go, why don't you come in and show us? So I showed them my act, and they go, okay, come in Monday, you got the job. That was it. It's like, wow, what'd I do? And then I got to work with Bob, and I only wanted to do a good job. And Bob called me the other day. He's 93, and he called and said, that's my favorite episode. And I tell everybody. So 3 weeks ago, they had Parade Magazine, and they asked Bob, what's your favorite episode? And they go, The Ventriloquist. Or I'm in his psychology office when he was a psychologist. And I believe the dummy was real and won a God on his own. It was a very funny episode. That's going to be a semi-regular on the series, but the show ended, so that was the end of that.
What was the dummy's name?
Get this close, to being a name. What?
What was the dummy's name? Did it have a specific?
Yes, in the sitcom, it was Frank.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally named him Orville, and then I changed it to Irving. And he was supposed to look like me. Supposed to be, made to look like me, but the guy who did it screwed it up. So, he's just an ugly dummy,
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And the chats, by the way, in press, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, singing that without moving your lips.
Yes, and I could do that, but I can do it in Donald Duck.
Oh,
Wow.
How's that?
That is incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Just
wow. Now I'm the voice of Little Quacker for Tom and Jerry cartoons, and he's a baby duck, and he's innocent. So Donald, any little thing will tick him off,
Right.
He gets angry out of frustration, like he can't open up a window, so he gets angry. But Little Quacker, he's just born. He's innocent, He's wide-eyed, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Everything's new to him. Excuse me. And he would be like this.
Oh, I knew my mama. I love my mama. Oh, boy.
So, and he's a little higher. Excuse me. I should have brought a little water with me here.
Oh, if you need a moment to get water, you can get water.
Yeah, he's a little innocent duck, baby duck, and so everything to him is new. And so Tom is his friend, Tom the cat, who tries to eat him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like,
oh, Tom is my friend.
So
that's the difference. And we're on HBO Max, Tom and Jerry in New York, the cartoon series, and I wrote a couple of the episodes.
Really?
And then, I did Quacker's Lucky Penny. I did the story. And Flamingo A Go-Go. And a couple of others. And then you can also see me on Boomerang, Tom and Jerry on Boomerang. And we did the Not So Ugly Duckling, and we did Swimming in Paint, where Little Quacker mistakes a can of paint for swimming, swimming hole. and so we have him sing and all that stuff. And I remember they said, can you give us something? Give us something that's not that we have to, pay a royalty for. Can you make up a song? And I said, well, for Little Quacker, why don't we make him a little bit of a Sinatra guy, a Scooby Dooby Doo guy to kind of. So we did.
Scooby Dooby Doo, yeah, I'm going swimming. I'm going swimming. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious because sometimes people claim that they don't understand what. Sometimes you understand a little bit of what he's saying, and what you don't understand. When you don't understand what he's saying, do you ever purposely make him not understandable, or do you ever you have a specific thing he's saying?
Well, I try very hard to make him as clear as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's a difficult voice. It's artificial. You don't use your voice, your vocal cords. You do everything here from the side, your cheek and your gums. And I'm giving away my trade secrets here. But it's hard to do. I can do it on this side. I can't do it on this side. This side.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so different. So, and it depends, sometimes you have a good day and sometimes you have a bad day trying to get the voice out. Like if it's too much spittle, saliva, it gets watery, And there are times when it's so clear. But the problem I have is with consonants, vowels. You have to break everything up into two syllables. For instance, the word ugly was so hard to say. And we did the Not So Ugly Duckling, and I really had a,
Ugly. I'm so ugly.
You see how I had to kind of break it up?
You can't quite,
You don't have anything to hook onto, to click onto. Like if you just did hello.
Hello.
No problem. Right?
Right.
Or oh
right.
boy,
Oh boy, oh boy.
Because that is a hard, syllable to it,
And I noticed you can't quite, when you're using, you can't quite bring it further in up front in your mouth. You have to. It's back here.
It's wherever the placement is that you can best do the voice.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when there are times when I'll get up and it's just,
oh yeah, boy, oh yeah, sure.
And there are times when I have to force, and if you force, there's a strain to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better. Sometimes, it's just one of those things.
Sounds irritated with the
yeah.
force.
If you push too hard, it strains the voice, and if you're too relaxed, it gets really dark and deep. So sometimes you don't want to be when he's angry like that, Donald. You don't want him. You're not really saying anything. It's just nonsense because you want to give the idea that he's swearing somewhat, but not enough to say anything. You know what I'm saying?
He's a regular potty mouth without having a potty mouth, right?
Right. He just mumbles to himself, so you don't know that he's really a potty mouth. He's just,
Other than Donald, have you ever done his nephews? Because I know his nephews.
Yes. I did it on Robot Chicken.
Really?
Yes, we did. It was a dark episode of the Donald Duck's. I don't know if it's his sister or his what was it, sister, or I forget the name of the character that she's really not appropriate parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked Donald Duck where's their mother, because we never see Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mother.
Yes.
And so we say something.
Oh yeah, you got it.
They're a little higher, and I think when they did it at Disney, they sped up Huey, Dewey, and whatever.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Louie. To give him a little higher voice because they were young,
Oh, Donald. Oh, Donald.
Uncle Donald.
Uncle
Hard
Donald.
to say. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
And how long? Oh, go ahead.
No, just you got to get that diphthong, uncle, you know,
Oh, no, no.
kill me now. Yeah, I'm
What
exercising here.
what has been your favorite to do? Was there a particular show or anything that you've done with Donald that was your favorite, or even an appearance that you've done?
My favorite, that's hard to say because there were so many great moments. I mean, Bob Newhart was a pinnacle of my career.
Mhm.
I think dancing was the biggest, hardest thing I ever did. And I really feel like I accomplished something because that took the most work. I mean, physical work. And Donald Duck, just being able to do the voice for the Disney studios was a privilege. And then getting to do Little Quacker, I'll tell you the story. 25 years after I did Donald Duck, I get a call from this producer, and he says, "Hey, you still do a good duck?" I go, "Yeah, who are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm doing Tom and Jerry, and they need a duck. And when I worked at Disney Studios, you came into the animation department, did the best duck I ever heard. I don't think it's much of a stretch for you." And so I
Mhm.
went in and got the job. And then I heard at the party, they have a little launch party with all the voiceover guys and everybody. And uh, the casting director, I talked to me or somebody and said, "Oh, thank God you got the job. You're our first pick. We had to go through 3,000 voice actors for that." How about that little duck? How about that? Or
Wow.
somebody told me that.
So
I don't
you
know how
didn't
true it is.
you didn't even audition? Like it was
Oh,
just
yeah. I sent in
oh,
my stuff
okay.
to the executive producer who had said, "Well, that's great." So I was lucky about that. And I danced for many years. I did the Bob Hope specials. I did Hello Dolly with Martha Ray. I did the music. I did musicals. And I'm still dancing professionally today.
Really? Tell me more
Yes,
about that.
I'm currently the male stripper at the Jewish Home for the Aged. It's a great job. You come back the next day, they think you're the new guy.
Right?
And then you get criticized because some old lady came up to me and said, "The guy yesterday was better than you." So wait a minute, that was
Much
me.
more good looking. Much
Yeah,
more good looking.
much better looking than you too.
I don't even know what to say to that after that. Um,
Well, I
so
said to her, I said, well, I just had major surgery. I just had my talent removed. So
so dancing, you were professionally or classically
yo,
trained?
I was classically trained ballet, tap, and jazz because that in my day, in
Mhm.
order to get a job, you had to know all that, and they would eliminate you if you couldn't do ballet. So I
Really?
had a very strong ballet background, tap and jazz, and to dance for Anna White, who'd won the Academy Award for Oliver. She did Music Man and Bye Bye Birdie. Here I did Disney on Parade for her and Mame. You had to be pretty good because she had the best dancers, I think, in the country wanting to dance for her. I mean, the open audition was some. Oh, the audition. I show up at the audition, and Lucy's there with Anna. So I'm going to audition, and Lucy goes, "Oh," Anna goes, "Oh, Lucy, this is Sam. Uh, I discovered him as the voice of Donald Duck for that Disney show. Do Donald Duck for Lucy." So I did Donald Duck, and Lucy goes, she has these big glasses and orange hair, and she's like this, and she goes, "That's very good." That was it.
No notes.
Yeah, who knew? But I had a fun time with her. I had a good time with her on the set. She was just very nice. I just wish I missed the cast party, and to my regret, because I think I would have gotten a lot of work out of that cast party. I would have gone on to do other things. Oh well.
Oh well, right?
Yeah.
Something pretty cool now because you're doing Robot Chicken. In fact, Seth Green, who I'm sure a lot of people have heard of him at least. Seth Green, what's it like working with him?
Nicest guy in the world.
Nicest guy.
Kind, generous, talented. Like, oh my God, this guy. He's created a whole universe with Robot Chicken and other things that he's done. He's a wonderful actor. He's been in the business since he was a kid. And he just calls me in to do this work, and I'm just flattered. They had a 10th anniversary a Robot Chicken show party, and it was downtown LA at this big theater, and he interviewed a lot of actors and writers who worked on the show over the last 10 years. And then we moved over to another hotel that was this fantastic hotel that must have been built in the early 1900s. And he had a huge party with tons of food and all the celebrities, all the actors who worked on the show that came, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, they were all there.
Wow, like a whole really
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, you got to walk the red carpet and get a picture and all that stuff. Oh, and I do the Annie Awards every year. I go to the Annie Awards.
You go to the
And that's the animation awards.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet some of the most amazing people. And also, I just did Ed Asner's Family Center for Autism. And so I donate to that cause. And we just did an autograph thing for the kids, to raise money for the center. And these Funko Pop things, we autographed them, and you wouldn't believe the amount of money that they were able to raise. Pinky and the Brain showed up.
Really?
Pinky and the Brain, they were there and autographed some stuff, and I autographed, and Goofy was there, the voice of Goofy, and a bunch of other guys. And they did pretty. The thing that got me was Harrison Ford had donated a Funko Pop, and he autographed it. Han Solo, and it went for $940. Somebody bid on that. And unbelievable. Mine didn't do as well. I don't know why, but what's he got that I don't have? I'm younger than he is.
I won't ask how much, but I'm always impressed that those are how much they go for after someone. I think they're like $12. They go from like $12 to
Mm-hmm. How about that?
incredible amounts. But these people are treasures.
Well, he only signed one, and so I thought I was very impressed. And it's a good cause, for autism.
Was he there at the show, or?
No. Pinky and the Brain were there. I was there. Goofy was there. Yeah. Phil Lamar was there.
Really?
Yeah, he's terrific. We did Mad TV. I actually did Mad TV. I did an episode, and he was a regular on the series, and quite a talented guy.
What was it like being on Mad TV?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. They treated me like gold. I swear to God. I mean, they were so nice to me. And we did Brockovich the musical, which was a parody of, Aaron Brockovich the movie, singing and dancing. And I played the old attorney, the drunken dancing attorney. So, and Mo Collins was Brockovich, and it was very funny. We had a good time.
What's the prep like? I've always wondered, what's the prep like getting on Mad TV? Do they give you a few days, or because I know it's improv and
No, we rehearsed for a few days. We really did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they give you a script and you're like, here, or is it like a week ahead of time, or?
No, we just, this is your scene. This is what you have to do, and go to the choreographer and let's work something out. And that's what we did.
That's incredible. Did you have a say in choreography, or are they just
Yeah. They, a good choreographer will ask you, well, what can you do? That would be impressive, or that's something that, we can use. I said, sure. So I showed them what I could do, which wasn't much, but and I've never seen that episode since. I don't know how come Mad TV's not in reruns, but who knows?
Still going, still going.
Yeah, it is.
They used to do more reruns than they do nowadays.
Yeah.
Of course, they're streaming, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you could find it any moment.
I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. I try to look for it, but I don't know. You'd think all that stuff would be out there, but I guess it depends on the production company and what the rights are and who has the rights and blah blah blah.
Right, right. And I was going to ask you for your dancing and your choreography. Is there everybody's got their favorites. Everybody's got their I like this a little bit better than I like this. Do you like tap or ballet or anything a little bit better than the other one?
Oh, I love tap. I love tap. Is just you can walk down the street and tap, and you know ballet's a little tougher to do when you walk down the street,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're West Side Story.
None of those pure way.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I love to tap. I like to show I have some rhythm.
What do you think about the fact that not a lot of people do tap anymore?
Well, the culture has changed. My time was tap, ballet, and jazz, and then it changed to hip hop and robotics and street dancing. And it was changing in the late 80s, and it keeps changing today. And you got to go somewhere with dance. You can't just keep doing the same thing. I mean, ballet's been around since what, the 1700s? And that's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But when you do hip hop and whatever the other different types of dancing is, it's a different style. And I have a friend who has a dance company. Then that's what they do. They do the latest stuff. And in my day, you had to be slim and trim and in great shape and all that. And now I see people who are different shapes and sizes, and they do amazing things dancing. And I never really saw that on Dancing with the Stars. Dancing with the Stars was, salsa and waltzing and, these competition things, ballroom. But you don't see the hip hop stuff. You don't see the new stuff, do you?
Did you do a whole lot of ballroom? Because, I hear that it's not a big jump when you're already trained like that with ballet.
I'd go swing dancing, and I remember my teacher saying to me, it's, you pick it up on your own. So I'd go and goof off at one of these swing dances, and people would say, that's not how you do swing dance. And I go, well, that's the way I do it. So not too orthodox. The women don't like it because you're supposed to feature the women, and you're just supposed to sit there. I mean, stand there and twirl her around and, do all these little things with her. And I'm off doing double pirouettes and triple pirouettes and, and they're going, no, don't do that.
I'm the featured one, right?
Yeah, or I'll start tap dancing in a swing dance, and they'll just go, you just show off, And I'm not showing off. It's just I know the song, and I know, I've been dancing all my life, and I understand the rhythm, and it goes with the taps. So I wasn't trying to, prove anything. I was just having fun, which I think is the most fun thing to do. Just go out and have fun.
So swing dance is your favorite style?
Yeah, swing's a lot of fun now. Although I still love tap. I would take a tap class in a minute. And an acting class, and a singing class, and a piano class. Because I was told you have to do everything.
It never hurts to keep improving, right? Always.
That's it. Yeah, you have to improve. Never, can't hit a moving target. You got to keep moving, right?
What do you, let's see. I was going to ask you about What's My Line. Talk a little bit more about What's My Line before, because I do want to also ask you about what you're currently doing. But let's talk a little bit about What's My Line. Can you tell me a little bit more about that one?
Sure. What's My Line? I was in New York, promoting Disney on Parade at the sports the arena there, Madison Square Garden, and it held like I guess 10 or 20,000 people, and so I went on What's My Line, and I was the guest duck, and they brought out a little guy in a duck outfit, a guy from our show in a duck outfit, and I have to say he was really difficult, and I stood behind the behind the camera there off stage and did all these voices, and they guessed Donald Duck. So they got me. But the people on the panel were very nice. They were big celebrities. So, and they were very nice to us. I just wish the guy in the outfit was nicer.
Which celebrities were it? Was it?
I think it was Bennett Cerf, who passed away like a month afterwards, who was a joke writer. Mm-hmm. And then Soupy Sales, and I can't remember the rest. Some of them were regulars there that were on there. I took an elevator down with one of them, but I did invite them to the show. And I feel guilty to this day that I never invited them to see the Disney show. How stupid, huh? But then I guess they didn't ask, so...
No. Who knows?
Yeah.
You never know. So what you're currently doing, and you mentioned a little bit about Tom and Jerry already, but what you're currently doing, there's 2 Amazon shows that you're on.
Yeah.
And then also Tom and Jerry. So can you tell me a little bit about, let's start with Letters from a Nut. What is that exactly?
It was a play at the Geffen Theater here in Westwood, and I played Pagliacci, which was a silent clown. Letters from a Nut was hilarious, produced by Jerry Seinfeld. I was thrilled to work for him, and Barry Martyr, who wrote it. And Barry is just a brilliant comedy writer. And Beth Kennedy played all the other parts. She was fantastic. All these different characters, and then Barry. Ted L. Nancy was the author of the book, and Ted L. Nancy would write these, which was Barry. And did I give something away here? So Ted L. Nancy writes these crazy letters to corporations, and they answer him, no matter how strange it was. So he'd write to Nordstrom's, and he'd say, I'm walking by and I see this mannequin, he's wearing a jacket and everything. It looks like my next door neighbor's dead husband. Like to know if we can get this mannequin and give her some comfort. So he gets a letter back from Nordstrom's saying, "Hi, we read your letter and and okay, when we don't need the mannequin anymore, I guess we can sell it to you or something." And it's signed Bruce Nordstrom, the guy who owns the store. And he keeps writing to them, to Nordstrom's. And, he says, "I'm going to refer this to the local department store, local Nordstrom's." And she comes back and she writes him a letter saying, "We don't have any male mannequins." Because he made it all up. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Well, there's one in the sports department, where he has a sports jacket and a coat and everything, and he looks really good." It just goes on and on. And that's just one of the letters. I mean, every letter is hilarious. It's just great show.
It's a giant prank. It's a prank.
Yeah, you can see it at Flappers Comedy Club. They have a Sunday afternoon or early evening show, and I forget everybody's name. What they do is they hire an impressionist for one side and a narrator on the other, and the impressionist does all the different voices. He'll read the letters as Robert De Niro, he'll read the letters as Edward G. Robinson, you name it, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, all these different voices. So I think that'd be very funny.
Very cool. So You can see it in person or on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, Letters from a Nut, produced by Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That is a name that I haven't heard in a little while. Have you personally met him? A little
Yes,
while.
we did. I did Comedians of Cars Getting Coffee with him.
Mhm.
He's very generous. I was the product placement guy, and I was so thrilled because Jerry was needed a character actor, comedic actor, for this product placement thing. And he called up Barry and he goes, "You know anybody?" He goes, "Yeah, Sam." And he goes, "Get him. Guy can do everything." So I was very, just very humbled, flattered that I could work with Jerry. And he's doing a new movie, and it's going to be very funny.
Not familiar with the movie, but I think I heard that he's going to do one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's in production.
Yeah, of course, of course. He's so cool. I think the last time I heard about him was a B movie, but he's been behind a
Oh
lot of
well.
stuff.
Oh, he's done a ton of stuff. The Comedians of Cars Getting Coffee was huge. He's all over Netflix with that.
Mhm.
He does personal appearances. He plays these big, like Caesar's Palace and stuff like that. He's quite successful, and he's a generous man. He's been very kind to me. So
Very funny too.
yeah, I worked with him years ago doing stand up, and I just thought he was amazing because he would follow these comedians that would just kill on stage, and he'd just get up and do his act, and he did great. I mean, I would be, I wouldn't be able to do that. There's certain guys you just can't follow, and he would just get up and do it, and he was phenomenal. So, he's very confident, and he really knew his stuff, and he's a wonderful comedy writer. Look at the Seinfeld series.
Were you a
Great
fan
writer.
of the Seinfeld show? Did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it. I wish I'd done it. I wish I could have done it. I just think it was just a brilliant. It's like I Love Lucy.
Mhm.
It's just going to last forever. It's just one of those classic, iconic series, and Jerry should get the credit for it.
People
Yeah,
have credited Seinfeld with being the start of because shows like Friends came on after him.
yeah,
How I Met Your Mother all adopted
yeah,
that.
yeah. Exactly. He created that universe, and again, like every actor I've ever met, they got lucky.
Mhm.
Ed Asner and I were friends for 50 years, and he got a break with Mary Tyler Moore. He got lucky. Patrick Swayze, I got lucky. Jerry, I got lucky. Everybody got just that little ounce of luck, you know, to push you through. I thought Bob Newhart would do it for me, but the show ended. But I still got a good episode out of it. So
Ed Asner, I have to ask because the chat has a couple questions, but Ed Asner, what was it like to work with him?
he was the greatest. He just was. I just done the Bob Newhart. I choreographed him in these musicals. So
Mhm.
he'd call me Twinkle Toes, and I'd call him Mr. Asner, sir. And he's just a down to earth guy. He's extremely generous. And I'd just done Bob Newhart. He'd seen it. As a matter of fact, he saw everything I ever did. I invited him down to the Comedy Store. He showed up and he said to me, "Listen, it's great you can do this, but I'm from the theater. And you get up on that stage as a stand up and you have to grab them and make them listen to you. But I'm in the theater. When I walk out on that stage, everybody in that audience is there to hear every word I have to say. They're there to listen to me." And he was right. And I have to say, I come from the theater too, so I know that experience. But here I was, branching out and stretching and trying to, try new things. And I once complained to him after I did the Bob Newhart show. I was talking to Ed and I said, you know, I'm always doing comedy. I never get to do drama. He said, "Well, you want to be a jerk? I'll put you on Lou Grant." So he had a series called Lou Grant. I wound up a jerk on Lou Grant, thanks to Ed.
Very
And
cool.
we were friends ever since. We used to have these lunches later on. We'd have lunch with Ed, and all these actors and comedians and directors. We'd all get together and have lunch with Ed. He was just a wonderful man. Wonderful.
Is there a favorite funny or interesting memory, just sort of that, you know, when he wasn't on stage or?
Well, he, he was so engrossed in, he had, I used to call him Mr. Seven Emmys. So every time he'd win an Emmy, I'd call him up and go, Ed, like there are no other actors, like you're the only one. And he would go, he'd laugh and he'd say, I hope it doesn't price me out of the business. And every great actor that won an Oscar or an Emmy or whatever, you name it, they all said the same thing. I hope it doesn't price me out of the business. So it's good if you make it a little later in life, if you make it big a little later in life in your 30s or 40s, because you're humbled. When you're in your 20s, it goes to your head and you go crazy. But as you get older, you're able to handle it better. Getting awards and being recognized as a big star or whatever you want to call it. As you get older, you're able to see the other side of it. And so when you get to an Ed Asner who says, I hope it doesn't price me out of the business, he knows the business. He knows what this means. He doesn't think of it as, oh, well, I'm a big star now, bow down to me. It's never like that.
He understood.
Yeah. He understood it.
We have a couple questions. What's your favorite part of Letters of the Nut, and what's your favorite part of Letters of the Nut?
Letters from a Nut?
From her, yeah. So Letters from a Nut, I think is what he was trying to say. Yes.
What was my best part?
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was me.
That is
aside from
perfect.
that, listening to some of the letters that are just every night, you would hear the letters and you just fall down on the floor. Even though you're in the show, you're trying not to laugh, because they're so ridiculous. I mean, he wrote to Václav Havlov or whatever his name was in, Ukraine or something, or he was the president and a comedian or something. I don't know. Václav, and he gets an autographed photo from the president of Ukraine back then. I forgot what he was asking him about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just laughing so hard that Václav sends him an autographed photo. Here, you want an autograph? And maybe he asked for one. I don't know. But just everything about the show was hilarious. I remember in the middle of the show, Barry is Ted L. Nancy, and he's reading the letters. And in the middle of the show, some lady in the audience yells, "Hey, you're funny," out of the audience. And Barry looks at her and he goes, "Well, I want to thank you so much, and that's very kind of you. Do you mind if we continue with the show?" "Oh yeah, go ahead. You have my permission." In the middle of a show.
Heckling. It sounds like a heckle. It
wasn't a heckle. She was laughing and she was just blurting out that she thought it was really funny. We're like, hey, there's a third wall. There's a fourth wall here, It's just too much.
Have you ever had a heckler?
God. Stand up? Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? So I got to tell you, this is a true story. I do a thing in my act where I talk about Disneyland in the Middle East, and all through my comedy act, some drunk is out there going blah, 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 blah. And so, I usually, after I drink, I vomit too, something like that. And we're at the Laugh Stop in Vegas. And finally I get to this joke where, Disneyland's like making love because it's a 3-hour wait for a 2.5-minute ride, and the guy yells out, "Blah, blah," and I go, "Well, for you, 30 seconds." And the whole place calms down. They just start laughing, and I just came to me, if you're going to interrupt me, you're going to get it. You're going to get a response. And I was pretty kind, and it's 2.5 minutes for everybody else, but for you, 30 seconds, And it still costs $100. So, you okay?
Sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh,
like the other night, for the first time in 2.5 years, I got up at the Comedy Chateau here in North Hollywood. They give you like 4 or 5 minutes to do something. And I opened with my strip number, where I'm the male stripper at the Jewish home, right? So while I'm dancing around, this lady throws a $20 bill at me and tries to put it in my pants. So I take the $20 bill and I put it in my pants, and I'm dancing around. Then I'm done and I do the jokes. And I say, here, I got to give you back your money. And I'm looking in my pants and I can't find the $20 bill. And you see my hand running around I can't find anything. I finally pull it out and I go, well, here you go. And she goes, ooh, no, I don't want it now. Ugh. So it's just, I said, okay, I'll keep it. I made $20 that night.
How cool, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun.
Probably, I would have had you sign it or something, right?
Yeah, no. And afterwards, some guy followed me who was not the greatest comedian, but I guess he was starting out. And she gets up and runs over after the show and hugs him instead of me. So I guess it was a friend of hers. Like, hey, you're the one, you gave me the $20 bill and you're hugging him. That's my luck with women. Nobody wants to date a duck, So.
Donald, Donald's got Daisy, so.
Yeah, Donald has Daisy. Little Quacker is a baby duck, and he's a lot of fun. He's a great.
And you mentioned not trying hard not to fall down, laughing. Do you have any advice for like not laughing out loud when someone's being really funny or just telling a funny joke?
Well, if you're the straight man, it's called discipline. You're there for a job. Like when I did the Bob Newhart Show, neither of us cracked up. I was into the character, and I just, he would give his reaction, and I'm telling you, it was a funny bit. And I just played it straight as if, I'm this guy and I'm depressed. My dummy wants to leave my act, just, there was no way I was going to screw that up,
Yeah. But if anything's really funny, do you like just bite your cheek or have sort of like something you think about, or you just?
Yeah, you got it. You have got to learn that discipline. That you might have done it 100 times and it's still funny, but you just play it straight. That's your job. Your job is to ignore the audience and ignore the laughter and play it straight if that's your character. Because you're trying to convey the story and the attitude and point of view of the character. And that's a secret that you have for stand-up comedy. It's point of view, attitude, and material. If you have all three, you're Robin Williams or you're Jerry Seinfeld. You have an attitude and a point of view, and those are the best comedians. Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect. Hey, I got no respect. His point of view. He's depressed. He's, he has no luck. Self-deprecating humor, but he has the material to go with it. So that's a good example, isn't it?
A lot of these guys seem to not be afraid to make fun of themselves, which do you feel like?
Go ahead.
Like a lot of your comedies from self-deprecating?
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. Oh yes. I do a whole thing about dating, where I have no luck. I'm so afraid to make love now. I don't even touch myself, because of COVID-19, I've saved a fortune, more than Geico, that's more than 15%. So I've done quite well financially by not dating, So those kind of jokes, stuff like that. That's what I like to do. And I talk about my dad. My dad's 102, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. And we lost him last year. Actually, he's still alive. We just don't know where he is. They wander off at that age. So.
Oh, no.
So these are the jokes I would tell in my act. I get people to believe we lost him, And then, he called me up. This is true. He called me up every day to tell me a 79-year-old woman wanted to marry him every day. And I go, Dad, you're 100. What are you going to do with a 79-year-old woman? He goes, you're right. She's not even in diapers yet. And she could die on you. I said, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Next question from the chat.
Oh yeah.
So, wants to know, what was your very first autograph request? What was the first thing you ever signed? Do you remember?
I was in Disney on Parade, and I did the Donald Duck voice behind the scenes, and I would go up in the booth and do it live, 14 shows a week. And somebody backstage had a relative or something, and so I signed an autograph for them, you know, as Donald Duck, you know, because I was Donald Duck for the show.
Mhm.
So I did that. I mean, that was probably the first autograph. I can't remember really
So
anybody asking me for a Donald Duck for an autograph.
have you ever dressed up as Donald Duck, or is it just you just doing the okay?
No. I would never do that.
I know
I,
some actors do, but not
do
all.
they?
Yeah.
I never thought of that. It never dawned on me to dress up like Donald Duck. I just thought, you know, I'm an actor. I just do the voice. You know, they always have these dwarfs or, you know, people who are small enough to get into the costume. And I would have been a 5'9" duck, you know. So
Scary.
yeah, that's Donald Duck's too big. He looks so short in the comics, you know.
I know Disney sometimes has or they at least they used to. I recently read that they lifted the requirements for how tall or short you could be. But
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't know that, you know.
some actors go to Comic Cons, I guess, dress as their character, even if they're voice
Yeah,
characters.
funny you should say that. Did the Hollywood show, and the guy across from me had a Ninja Turtle outfit.
Mhm.
And I guess he was the stunt guy, you know, or one of the guys in the turtle outfit, and he wore it all day long. And he'd take the head off, you know, because it's got to be 129 degrees in there, you know, 200 degrees. And he wore it all day. And he worked on Robot Chicken. So, no, I don't mean Robot Chicken. Ninja Turtles. I'm sorry.
Ninja Turtle, yeah.
That's what happens when you get old. You know, you forget.
One of them. One of
Yeah.
them. Donatello, one of those
Yeah.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, Robot Chicken. I just did the Roadrunner. Mimi. I just did that for them. It was pretty funny. And it was clean.
I'm surprised, actually.
Yeah, it was a very, very funny little piece that was kind of cute.
Roadrunner, have you done Roadrunner frequently, or was it just,
No, just for Robot Chicken.
okay?
And I did a couple other ancillary characters for him. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Any other questions? Any bottles?
Who would you? Is there anyone that you would like to meet that you haven't met yet? Because you've met a lot of people.
Oh, I would love to meet some of the biggest names in acting. I love actors, big actors, you know, who like a Christian Bale. I would love to meet Michael Keaton again. I really adore him. I think he's one of our greatest American actors. I would kill to work with him. I would love to do something with him or any of those big time De Niro guys, or, you know, they're all great. But my biggest thing was I only wish I'd done something more with Ed Asner, because I just love the guy. You know, he was just a great guy. And I think that would have been a wonderful thing to do a play with him. And we never did. But we told a lot of jokes.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but there's so many actors out there you'd like to work with. I mean, I'm just mentioning a couple. But when you see these guys and their ability to be chameleons, like Gary Oldman, you just turn on. You think, wow, if I could work with him, I could learn from him. I'd be a better actor, because you see his process, you know, or you get to see how he works, and you work against them, or, you know, with them. It improves you. It makes you a better actor. I brought this down to a lull, didn't I?
That's some sage advice. No.
Thank you.
Bridget says your appearance on the Newhart Show was awesome. Who came up with the idea of Frank going out on his own?
I'm sorry.
Your appearance on the Bob Newhart Show was awesome. Mm-hmm. Who came up with the idea of Frank going out on his own?
Well, like I said, I had it in my comedy act, but the gentleman who wrote the episode was Lloyd Garver. And Lloyd was this brilliant comedy writer. And he came up with this premise. And so I had no idea that this made his career as a comedy writer. He told me years later that because of the show being so good, that episode being so good, he became a big sitcom writer. And he wound up as co-executive producer of Family Ties years later. And so I was walking around Paramount Studios I went to an audition. I ran right into him. And Lloyd goes, because that's where they shot Family Ties. And it was their second season. And Lloyd goes, "Oh man, I was thinking about you. I could use you in another episode of Family Ties." I go, "Great." So I walk in and I did. He said, "Just do your act like you did for Bob Newhart." And he goes, "Okay." So 4:00. It was a Friday. 4:00 on Friday, I get this call. Okay, show up Monday, and that was it. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah. And somebody interviewed me a week ago or so for a ventriloquist book, the ventriloquism, these guys who are big ventriloquists. And I thought, well, what am I, I only did a few things, on television. And they go, "Oh, no. We want you in this. You did this iconic episode." So there you go.
That
I'm going to be in a book.
The chat saying that's a really iconic, memorable episode. Everyone found it hilarious. I even sort of remember that. So down in history,
Yeah.
What is it like with that? Like knowing that like things like that are going to be iconic.
Well, it's funny because funny you should ask, because I never really dawned on me that it was any kind of a iconic show, or somebody mentions it every so often, and I'm kind of moved on with other things. And so it's flattering, and God, I can't tell you how humbling it is. I just didn't dawn on me that it was some kind of big, at the time anyway, going to be some kind of a great episode, great piece. It played on CNN's History of the Sitcom. And I was thrilled because they showed Ed Asner first, then they showed Bob, and Bob goes, "Well, I had these crazy clients, and they show my episode with the dummy." So
cool.
I had no idea.
A big part of old Hollywood, the classic golden era.
Yeah, there were only 3 channels back then. Remember that? It was just 3 channels, 7, 4, and 2. Those were the big networks. How about that? So if you were on television and you were a guest star, you were a star.
Everyone saw you.
Yeah, everybody saw you. Mm-hmm. If you did Mary Tyler Moore, you were a star, And it never dawned on me because I just did the one episode and I thought, okay, well, I got to move on. I got to do something else. So I went back to stand up and theater and all that stuff. You got to keep working.
How do you feel? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
I'm also in a book called Mouse Tracks, where they talk about all the great voice actors from Disneyland records. And I'm in there as the voice of Donald Duck for the Totally Mini album and Disney on Parade and those kind of things. It's called Mouse Tracks. It's a great book.
Mouse Tracks. So anyone watching, or go ahead and check that out. That is so cool.
Yeah, from 1955, when Disneyland Records started, to 1987, when the book was published, all the great voice actors. We're talking Pinocchio, what's his name? I'm losing it here. Jiminy Cricket, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, every great voice actor that worked on these records in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s are in this book. Some iconic characters. The guy who did the voice of Goofy is in it, the original voice.
Does it ever you ever stop and just like, wow, I was just a piece, I was part of history. I was part of this really amazing part of TV history.
Yeah, I just didn't realize it until, I guess Bob made a big deal about it in the last year or two. I just didn't even really register. It's just something I did in the past, and, you want to go forward and keep working. So that's what you face. That's what you look forward to, is the next job. So if
The
you're,
next job.
yeah, if you're lucky to get a series, then you're set. And those are the guys who are lucky. And I love to be around people with talent. If you've got talent, I'm thrilled. If you're a talented guy like a Keaton or a Ed Asner or any of those guys, you know, to be around them, that's my favorite thing. And the comedians that I know, Bob Zaney is this brilliant comedian who lives in Vegas now, and he's just hilarious. Go see his dry bar. I'm promoting him. I should be promoting me, you know.
Right.
But there's
Well,
guys I work with. Oh, Jerry Bednopp from the 40-Year-Old Virgin. He's the angry Indian that cusses everybody out. These are all my friends. So, so
that's how it is, though.
What?
That's how it is, though. Everybody plugs everybody else, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm plugging him, you know. A very funny guy.
Shamim, who is the incredible booking agent for this show, wants to know, how was your Hollywood show appearance?
It was a lot of fun. I should have sat and stayed at my table longer, but I got up to say hello to a few people, some actors I knew, and I lost a lot of time because they were busy talking to me. I should have just sat at the table longer. I probably would have made more money.
Isn't that what it's about, though?
Yes, Shamim is a great guy. I can never figure out how to pronounce his name, so thanks for doing that.
Shamim, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to call him Shamim, Shabu, you know. Shamim, is that it? Shamim. I'm sorry, Shamim. I'm trying. Forgive me.
Well, actually, what is your favorite part of doing these cons? Because some actors don't love them. Some actors are like, they're my favorite. Kind of, how do you place?
Well, a lot of times I would love to do more of them. I don't think I've only done a few. It's hard to get booked. I'd like to get booked more, you know. Any booking agents out there, call me. I just, it's kind of fun. It's a lot of fun to do. Sometimes I'm a little embarrassed because I don't think I've done as much as some of the other actors that were there that have done series, and they've done 180 episodes of a cartoon, or they've done, 8 years on a TV series, or, Little House on the Prairie gets a lot of people, and they get a line around the corner. Ed Asner gets a line around the corner. I get a few people trickle by and go, "Oh, look, it's a duck. Oh, wow. Yeah, is he really?"
I'm surprised that there's not out the door to meet Donald Duck. It shocks me.
Well, it just depends on what show you're doing. If you're doing a Comic-Con, that would be more lucrative. It just depends. The Hollywood show was good. I had a great time and I made some good money. I just should have stayed at my table longer. I just made the mistake of getting up and saying hello to friends who were actors,
Catch up with anyone fun specifically that was there?
Oh, yes. Ed Begley Jr. We went to junior college together. He doesn't remember me, but but I reminded him of all our mutual friends. And I love talking to the Soup Nazi. He's a great guy. And of course, Jamie Farr from MASH, who I knew from before. And a couple other guys, Jimmy Walker, who I did stand up with at the Comedy Store many years ago. So a lot of guys.
So these shows are just reunions for you.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's fun,
Cool.
Anything else? Any bottles? Any other questions? Or we're doing almost an hour and hour and 15?
Yeah, we're actually over by 26 minutes.
Oh,
thank you so much for joining me on this show. I have had such a good time. Such an honor to meet Donald Duck, Sam.
And Little Quacker.
Yeah, and Little Quacker, and apparently the Roadrunner, and all sorts of other voices. Yeah. This has been such an honor. Please stick around after the show. I talk for a second, and everyone, we are taking a 2-week break, and Nerdalism will be back around Halloween and on into November. So everyone, and check out his show on Amazon Prime. and then HBO, just Tom
Letters
and
from God.
Jerry. Yes.
Oh, and go to my website, samk3000.com, SAMKAY 3000.com. You can check out all my stuff.
And then are you, is anything about to come out for you, or
Anything what?
is any projects about to come out, or is everything out right for you right now?
Right now I'm in between some stuff. I have some projects maybe coming up, but I can't talk about it right now.
Okay.
I'm hoping something. And I'll let you know as soon as I know, and then I'll whisper it.
Would love to talk about it when off.
Yeah, when it happens. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you, everyone. Have a good night.